Did you know that the original Chanukah miracle, the one that we celebrate with the Chanukiah every year, you know, the one where the Kohen Gadol had only famously enough oil for one day and it lasted for 8 days, that miracle is perhaps the biggest miracle that has ever taken place. Bigger than the splitting of the sea, for sure. Bigger than the 10 plagues, of course. Why is this seemingly extremely humble miracle so spectacularly great? In order to explain that, I would like to give you a dramatization of what was going on in heaven just before that very first Kohen Gadol lit that menorah on that very first Chanukah. Let's say 0.6 nanoseconds beforehand. An email went out from the heavenly administration stating as follows: God is extremely proud of the Jewish people. They have defeated the Hellenists, and they did so with zeal, with love of God, and they did so without requesting any miracles. So because God is so proud of them, of course he's going to reward them with a miracle. So we would like there to be the following miracle. The oil that the Kohen Gadol found, we want it to last for 8 days. They could have used impure oil, but they wanted to only use pure oil because the whole point is that purity matters. So therefore, God is extremely proud of this. He's very, very moved. So he wants this pure oil that they found to last for 8 days. Now, the miracle has to have 3 conditions met. The first condition is that there has to be a miracle every single one of those 8 days. It can't just be 7 of those days. You have to have a miracle every day. Condition number 2, Mida keneged Mida, tit for tat. The Maccabees were going well beyond what was required of them. So the miracle also has to be above and beyond. It can't just be your basic miracle. Number 3, and this is really important too, all of the laws and stringencies, the halachas of lighting the menorah in the Beit HaMikdash have to be followed, ideally even with non-compulsory requirements. So the 70 members of the heavenly Sanhedrin sat down in order to judge which company would receive the contract to produce the Chanukah miracle. Just before they were about to begin proceedings, a humble maggid stood up and he said, "If it pleases the court, I think we should bring in a consultant. It's only fitting that, given that one of the requirements is halacha, we should bring in a great halachist, a great lawmaker. In fact, my student would be cut out for this role. His name is Rav Yosef Cairo. He wrote the Shulchan Aruch and the Beit Yosef, and in fact, in times to come, this miracle is going to be discussed in the Beit Yosef. It's going to be famously known as the problem of the Beit Yosef." The court was pleased, so he went and got the soul of Rav Yosef Cairo. Now, when the great tzaddik entered the heavenly chamber, it was filled with a holy light. The tzaddik, that the angels couldn't even comprehend the holiness on his face, were in awe. Everybody settled down. The first company decided to give their pitch, and they were Quality Miracles Incorporated. The CEO of Quality Miracles put a little hologram maker on the table, and he pressed a button, and immediately the room went dark, and the spectacle, an image, a holographic image of the Imahot, Sarah Imenu and Rivka Imenu, lighting their Shabbat candles, filled the room. The angels were in tears at the holiness of the sight as Sarah said the bracha, and she lit the candle with Kedusha and Tahara, and the heavenly lights filled the whole universe. The CEO said, "Look closely at what's going on here, because there is a miracle at work. This candle that Sarah lit and also Rivka lit isn't going to just last a few hours like a normal candle. It's going to last for 7 days. We did that. How did we do it? Well, we are able to manipulate the fabric of reality with our Kabbalistic knowledge. We have taken the name of Shemen, the letters, Shin, Mem, Nun, Sofit, and we've connected it back to its source in Zayit, in olive, and using the Bina and preserving the Chochmah Ila'ah through the creative process, we have been able to produce a quality oil, very, very potent. Instead of lasting for just a few hours, it was able to last for 7 days. And we are highly confident that we can do exactly the same thing here. We can make this oil last for 8 days." The room erupted in applause. The stocks for Quality Miracle Incorporated went right up. The judges of the Sanhedrin were about to bang the hammer and say, "You got the job," when Rav Yosef Cairo went, The room went silent. They all looked over to him. "Yes?" Rav Yosef Cairo said, "I'm not sure about this. Could you tell me how it's going to work?" "Oh, well, Kabbalistic formulas, they work like this. You take the name of Hashem, and Bash, have you heard that?" No, He said, listen, I don't need to know about Kabbalistic things. That's not what I'm asking. How is the Kohen Gadol going to do this? What's he going to do? Walk me through it. I'm a humble earthling and I care about the details. What's he actually going to do? Well, he's going to take his cup with the oil in, yeah, and he's going to pour it into the menorah, like you do the mitzvah. Yeah, I know, but how much is he going to pour in? Oh, well, he's going to pour in about 1/8. 1/8 should be enough, right? Because it's 8 times more potent. Normally it lasts for 24 hours. It's going to last for 24 hours, just 1/8. Normally a full cup lasts for 24 hours, but in this case we only need 1/8. 1/8 is enough to last for 24 hours. Everybody started applauding again. Rav Kara said, wait a minute. Are you allowed to put in 1/8? Well, you think about it. What is the amount that a Kohen is supposed to put into the menorah cup? The answer is, well, the Gemara doesn't give an exact answer. It just says it has to be enough to last for the longest winter night. So yes, in this case, they would have to put in 1/8 because that would last for the full 24 hours, let's say. Hold on a minute. Still, it's not right to not fill it to the top. This is a vessel used for a mitzvah. You're not supposed to partially fill it. And the CEO said, oh, well, that's a good point. So maybe they can just fill it with impure oil to the rest. Oh, really? You're going to use impure oil now after all this? What's the point of having this miracle then? Okay, fine. Let's just fill it 1/8 because that really is a non-compulsory requirement. And Rav Yosef Karo folded his arms and said, I'm not impressed. Firstly, have you even thought about how the Kohen Gadol is going to know to put in only 1/8? He doesn't know he's sitting with quality oil. He thinks it's regular oil. Okay, you want to put a bit of prophecy, a bit of Ruach HaKodesh, that's fine. But I'm not even sure you're allowed to only partially fill it if you have enough. The Kohen Gadol has got enough oil to completely fill it. So is he really allowed to skip that non-compulsory requirement? Bediavad, I don't think so. Anyway, I'm not impressed. I think we should hear some other proposals before we make the decision on this one. Okay, suddenly, a cloud of smoke filled the room. As the smoke dissipated, the CEO of OutaNowhere Miracles was standing right in the podium. And everybody looked down and they all found they had a little mug at their desk. Great. He came round with a little flask and he started pouring coffee into every single angel's cup. And miraculously, even though his flask could only fill 1 or 2 cups at most, it filled all 73 cups in the room. This is what we specialize in, he said. We are OutaNowhere Miracles. You may remember us from the story of Elisha and that one woman when she had the problem with the debt collectors. So we were put in charge of making a miracle for her. She would pour oil from her pitcher into as many vessels as she had. And the oil kept coming. It kept coming in a miraculous fashion. It kept coming out of nowhere. A big applause, and everybody was really impressed. And they said, look, this is an amazing feat. We already anticipated Rav Yosef Karo's question. This is exactly how the Kohen Gadol is going to perform the miracle. He's going to take his pitcher of oil. He's going to pour it into the cups. And then, once he's finished pouring, and he's going to pour all of it, his cup is going to miraculously refill in his hands. Every single day, there's going to be a miracle, and the oil is going to last for full 8 days, and not a single halachic compromise had to be made. Again, applause. Yosef Karo said, hold on a minute. What about the 8th day? What do you mean the 8th day? On the 8th day, it's going to refill again. Another miracle on the 8th day. He said, oh, excuse me, but what has that miracle got to do with the 8 days of Chanuka? Well, I guess nothing. It's happening on the 8th day, but that's going to be for tomorrow. And we don't even need it for tomorrow because on the 9th day, they're going to have pure oil again. All right, I've got a better proposal then. How about we do it like this? He's going to take the oil. He's going to pour it into the cups until it's empty. And then after 24 hours, as the oil burns, when it gets to the end, miraculously going to refill again. That's how the miracle can take place. And that way you have a miracle on the 8th day too. Yosef Karo said, yeah, but what about the first day? And they go, I knew you were going to say that. The first day, we already have a miracle. They found the flask. That's a miracle. So that can be the miracle for the first day. So Yosef Karo said, look, I'm not impressed by that either. That doesn't sound very impressive, but technically it works. But let's explore this for a second because I've got a bigger problem. Wind back the hologram again. They did. The oil went down and then it miraculously filled up again. And he said, stop. He stopped. What is that in the cup right now? Well, it's olive oil. Okay, it's olive oil, is it? Yes, it's olive oil. From olives. Yeah, it's olive oil. It's from olives. Okay, I'm not sure about that. I'm from Earth. Remember, I think about things maybe a bit different to you. I don't have any Kabbalistic slogans in my head. That oil came out of nowhere. That's the name of your company, right? It's miracle oil. It's not olive oil. Big murmuring in the room. Big tumult started. Until one of the angels of OutaNowhere Miracles put his hand up and said, excuse me, I'm sorry, I think there's been a misunderstanding. Wind back the tape and this time play it in slow motion. The oil went down, 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 down. And then the miracle began. Slow it down there. It started to come up. And if you pause it just before it started to come up, you'll realize there was a tiny bit of the original oil left. It didn't come from nothing. It came from a tiny little bit of oil. So the engineer said, see, this is olive oil, based on a Talmudic principle that an outgrowth of a substance takes on the same status as its source. If you add a liquid to another liquid, that second liquid takes on the status of the first liquid. This is olive oil. Rav Kara said, oh, come on. All right, before it came from your ability to tap into the power that Hashem has put into the creation to create it out of nowhere, and now you're still using that, but listen. The Maccabees went above and beyond. The miracle also has to go above and beyond. Now, the only reason why this miracle is halachically valid is because you've got some Talmudic kvetch to make it work. Sorry, but this does not match the second requirement. I'm not pleased with this. I vote no for this miracle as well. Are there any other proposals before we make the final decision? The whole room filled with fire. Everybody started panicking because fire. And then after a second or two, they calmed down and they realized, oh, this fire is not hot. It's actually quite nice. And they started playing with it. It's fun to play with fire when it's not hot. Have you tried it? You should. Now, then the fire abated, apart from a pillar in the middle, which took its time to abate, and it came down. And the CEO of Flaming Wonders stood there. With a dramatic entry, he began, we are Flaming Wonders, and we produced a miracle that you may have heard of. Yes, it was recorded by Moshe Rabbeinu himself. It happened to him in his lifetime. When he was walking past the snare, he saw the burning bush, the famous burning bush, with a fire that he says did not consume the bush. This is what we specialize in. Fire that does not consume. Fantastic miracle, if you ask me. Fulfills all the requirements. And Rav Kara said, excuse me, what? No, it does not. What? Yes, it does. Listen to yourself. What does the pasuk say? Crushed oils to be a luminary, to be a light, an everlasting flame. You can't crush the oil and not use it. Your miracle doesn't even use the oil. It's just fire. Good point. At that point, the Sar Shel Yavon, the heavenly prince of Greece, he was a bit broken and battered after the battle with the Maccabees, but he was there. And he said, see what I mean? These Jews, you could never, you can't work with them. We really wanted to work with them. We saw the wisdom of their Torah, at least the parts of it that made sense. We thought that would be profound, a bit of holiness, a bit of good psychology, family values, mixed with our science and our reasoning and our logic. We could have been a superpower. We could have, but they didn't want to give up on their stupid, above nature miracle this and Mesirat Nefesh that, and saying that you're Hashem's children. You can't be God's children. All of this hocus pocus stuff, he's doing it now. Obviously, the requirements don't work in reason and logic, so we have to make some kind of compromise, and he's not letting you. Why are you listening to him? These Jews are at it again. So at that point, Yosef Karo spoke loudly, and everybody was silent. This time, instead of addressing the angels, he turned to the center of the room, and he addressed HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Master of the universe, who dwells in darkness as well as in light, whose name we sanctified with our lives and with our deaths. We don't want angels to make a miracle for us. We only want you, Hashem, to make our miracles. At that moment, the room was filled with the light of love and compassion. And suddenly, a new light the Ohr HaGanuz, the light from the first day of creation that was hidden away for the tzaddikim, filled the room, and all the angels who hadn't seen it for thousands of years were in awe, tears streaming down their eyes, as the light descended down and just in time made contact with the menorah in the Beit HaMikdash and lit those flames. Now, how did this fire work? Only Hashem's omnipotence can give you the answer to that. It consumed the oil, but it didn't consume it. The flame burned the oil, but it didn't burn it. The flame lit up the darkness, but the darkness remained. We're still in exile. But there's light. There is light. The light is this. Hashem is our Father. What doesn't make sense is possible when it comes to Him. He loves us. He needs us. He needs our mitzvot. We need Him. We need Him back so badly. But He's here. And it just takes a tiny, tiny bit of light to get rid of a lot of darkness. So let's appreciate how spectacular this miracle is. It doesn't just break the laws of nature or science or even logic. It transcends everything. Just like the soul of the Jewish people, just like our connection with God. May the Mashiach come and show us the real light. Amen. Chanuka Sameach.